Welcome back, one and all, to Magius Plays The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Last time, we finished the game. So what the heck are we doing here? Well, there are some mysteries left to delve into with this rather mysterious game. So join me as we delve into the tragedy of Ethan Carter. For those of you unfamiliar with it, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is a narrative game that follows Paul Prospero's search for Ethan Carter, a boy that wrote of dark things happening in Red Creek Valley, and the events that played out there. But there are two layers to the stories, and you cannot fully appreciate the details of one without knowing the story of the other. I'm Magius Delcato, and today we will be delving into the tragedy of Ethan Carter. Be warned, if you haven't played The Vanishing of Ethan Carter or watched a Let's Play of it yet, there will be spoilers. As you may expect, the entire story hinges around Ethan Carter and his family, and we will start with what happened in the real world. For this part, we will be looking at the newspaper clippings and letters we found throughout the game, and applying them to the stories that Ethan wrote, and which Paul Prospero experienced. Things began a few years prior to the start of the game, when Chad's moonshine distillery caught fire, leading to the death of Gail Carter and dropping Ed Carter, Ethan's grandfather, into a deep depression. It was these events that inspired Ethan to write about the alchemist who hid his laboratory, Chad's moonshine distillery, and the old man who drank sap. While the latter may seem a bit of a poor fit, with an entire village being burned to death rather than just one person, to Ed, that one person would have been nearly his whole world. And Ethan was conveying the emotion rather than just the events. And then we have his brother, Travis. Travis, like many teenage boys, did not understand Ethan and the flights of fancy he would take. Because Travis did not understand, he would tease and torment Ethan, not really understanding the sting that his words or actions inflicted. This certainly was not helped by the role model that Chad provided for Travis, as we see at the end of the game. Because of this, Ethan saw Travis as something of a beast, an animal best caged where he cannot hurt anyone, and left there. His father, Dale, is another dreamer, but a failed one. It's hard to draw parallels between the man and the story about him, a story about summoning an otherworldly being, but being stopped by a solitary man who becomes cursed to prevent others from achieving that original goal. Would he be the cultist or the miner, or perhaps both? From the letters we see scattered around, we know that he is something of his own worst enemy, pushing too hard to try to get his ideas patented, and thus being forbidden to submit another patent application. It is this, then, as well as the more traditionally masculine examples set by Chad, that makes Dale appear so weak to Ethan and Travis. While this does foster sympathy in Ethan, they're both creative types who aren't understood by the rest of the family, it also creates disappointment. As we see at the end, instead of disciplining Travis personally for tormenting Ethan, he asks Ed to do so instead. Which finally leaves us with Missy, Ethan's mother. There are a lot of conflicting emotions there. Ethan loves his mother, but doesn't feel that she loves him. Or if she does, she doesn't understand him and what he wants to do. She genuinely wants what she thinks is best for him, and with Dale's failures, she believes that what is best is to get his head out of the clouds and focus on doing something real, as she puts it. Or, as she puts it, the only thing that people respond to. Why does this matter, though? None of this affects the core game itself, right? Well, not quite. You see, the game itself is Ethan's dying thoughts muddled with the last story he was working on. A supernatural murder mystery where psychic detective Paul Prospero comes to his home and rescues him from the family that torments him. No one in his family understands what he sees and what he's trying to create, so he created a character who could literally walk through the worlds that he had created in his short stories. It's also reflected in how each of them meets their end. Chad and Travis are the only ones that directly threaten Ethan, with Travis being the only one who personally tries to kill him. While Missy alternately hunts and protects Ethan. Dale takes his own life instead of risking the sleeper taking hold of him, and it is only Ed, of all of Ethan's family, who directly helps bring things to an end. Which brings us nicely to the events portrayed in the game. Now that we know the background behind them, how does the actual story play out? There's very little that is obvious where it fits. Ethan burning down the Vandergrift house is obviously the last of the events, and Ed killing Travis is obviously not the first. But how does the chronology fit together? Obviously, it all started with Ethan finding the secret room in the Vandergrift house and waking something there. At some point after that, somebody, most likely Dale, but possibly Chad, sent the cargo lift by the houses to the bottom of the valley, removing the button so Ethan couldn't get down there again. However, Ethan wasn't going to be deferred. He met with Dale in the graveyard and asked for his keys to the mine, but Dale forestalled him, claiming to have lost them. Ethan is then captured by Missy and Chad, who try to seal him in one of the crypts. Ethan escapes, and Missy accidentally kills Chad as he attempts to choke Dale to death. Missy and Dale then set off in one direction to try to find Ethan, while Travis circles back. Knowing that he's going to be going through the mines, Dale takes Missy there, then realizes she is going to try to kill their own son. He traps her in the elevator and lowers it into the flooded level below, drowning her. Travis finds the remains and sets off to confront Dale. The two confront each other at the mine's exit, with the confrontation ending with Dale's suicide. Travis then corners Ethan, taking the lift back up and returning to the railroad tracks. Travis ties Ethan to the tracks, but Ed was able to interfere and save Ethan. Ethan grabs one of the canisters, returns to the Vandergrift house, but is unable to get back into the secret room. Ed then takes the route through the mine, closing and locking it behind him before going in search of Ethan. He makes his way to the Vandergrift house with 2 extra canisters of fuel, and the rest, as they say, is history. An unfortunate parallel for Ethan between his real life and the story he told. I am Magius Delgado, and until we meet again, Magius out.